I've been in and around the investing space for almost 15 years now. So what is some of the worst financial advice and how can you learn to pick it out? How can you learn to spot out the BS and learn how to avoid some of these scams and some of these untrustworthy individuals? Let's go ahead and break it down. So I went and found 3 clips that really exemplify some of the worst stuff out there, and we are going to spot them, show you what I see. I'm going to pause the clips and show you exactly where these things are wrong and show you how they try to fool you into paying for some really shady financial advice and products and stuff out there. So let's go ahead and jump into it. Again, I'm going to pause the clip, highlight some things, and show you how they get people to fall for these scams, how they get people to fall for these insurance products and all these expensive things. And they do it in a very salesy way. And they get a whole bunch of clicks by doing so. So let's go ahead and start with the first clip.
401k is the biggest scam in America. If you are a farmer.
All right, so that's the first one. I would say 98% of the time, anybody that starts off saying that 401k is a scam or any traditional investment or conventional advice is a scam is usually trying to sell you something and is usually wrong, okay? You may not like the 401k. It may not be your favorite investing vehicle. I'm not saying it's perfect, but it ain't a scam, okay? Somebody saying, ooh, your savings account is a scam. The regular bank is a scam. It's not, okay? It is a legitimate investing advice. Again, doesn't have to be your favorite, but it ain't a scam, okay? Just because you don't like it or you don't love it does not make it a scam. I'm somebody who says that real estate or your primary home may not be the best investment in the world. That doesn't make real estate a scam. You may not love getting a college degree. That doesn't make college a scam, but it might not be the best thing for you. All right, so that's the first mistake. But anytime you say something like that, it's going to garner a lot of clicks. That's the first thing. Next.
Would you rather pay taxes on a couple small seeds, or would you rather pay taxes on a huge harvest? A 401k is basically you paying taxes on a harvest. It makes more sense to take that same money that you've already paid taxes on, invest it into your life insurance program, let it grow, compound interest, and at the end, you pay no taxes because you paid them up front.
All right, so this is a very common tax metaphor that he is using here. What it means is, it's a difference in what we call tax deferral. So would you rather pay taxes now and get the money tax-free later, or would you rather defer your taxes, pay no taxes now, and then later withdraw the money and pay taxes, at 59 and a half, 20, 30 years from now? This is the difference between a traditional IRA and a Roth IRA. That's what that is, right? In a traditional IRA, you don't pay taxes now. You pay 0 taxes and the money grows tax deferred until you withdraw the money at 59 and a half or any point after 59 and a half, because you don't have to pull it out at that point in time. And then what's the difference with the Roth, right? The Roth, you pay taxes today, right? That money is after tax. And then when you are ready to pull the money out, you pay no taxes, okay? Remember that, okay? Remember that. That's the difference. You're paying money on the seed, you pull the money out tax-free, okay? Remember that point.
On a huge harvest, a 401k is basically you paying taxes on a harvest. It makes more sense to take that same money that you've already paid taxes on, invest it into your life insurance program, let it grow, compound interest, and at the end, you pay no taxes because you paid them up front.
Why would I do that with an insurance policy when I can do that with a Roth 401k? That doesn't make sense. That does not make sense. Like, why do it with a insurance policy where I know I'm paying higher fees to somebody like that who is getting paid from those premiums, instead of doing it with a Roth 401k where I know it's going to be in index funds and all type of stuff, but also I have the potential of a match. That's, if I'm putting in 10% and the company is putting in 4, 5, 6%, that's a lot of extra money that I'm getting. That is, I'm getting, the whole seed money, right? That I'm paying taxes on now, that I'm getting tax-free later. That's extra money. Like, I don't get the match in the insurance policy ever. So that doesn't make sense. Like, I'm getting, in a match situation, I'm getting match money with no premium fees by paying an insurance broker. That is not comparable. That does not make sense. The whole purpose, his whole point in during this entire, do this life insurance policy thing is the fact that you can pay your taxes now and get it out tax free. That is the whole purpose of a Roth. That whole argument is done. The whole thing is done. Like, that was it. That was it. That was your best argument, was that. So that you got to be able to like take those things and say, well, wait a minute. Isn't there an equivalent here in some other vehicle? And isn't there another benefit here that I'm missing? I'm missing out on. So no, that absolutely does not make sense. And again, you're gonna see a consistent missing theme here is, what are the fees, right? What are the fees? So if I'm putting in, let's say $800 a month or 10% of my salary, is it really 10%? Because let's say, again, you make $100,000, just to make the math really simple, that's $10,000 a year. Well, is $3,000 of that going to him, right? And just to make the math easy, so you really only invest in 7%. If this were a 401k, you're really investing closer to 10% than you would in this particular scenario. So you're actually investing more and you're getting more of those returns plus the match, right? So then you're investing really closer to, let's say, $15,000, and who's going to win in that scenario? The person investing $15,000 a year or the person investing $7,000, and you're getting the same return? Who's winning? Me, right? Or the person who's investing $15,000 a year versus the person investing $7,000, because in this scenario, neither one of y'all going to pay taxes at the end of the day. Okay? You got to be able to break down those things. All right, so that was lot number one. All right, let's move on to the second clip. All right, this guy is infamous or famous for doing things like this. So let's go ahead and start this one. Let me rewind on my end. So it starts from the very beginning. All right.
Wants to get a Roth IRA. Should he?
Well, Roth IRAs are kind of like super amateur hour. It's kind of like if you had the choice between a Toyota Prius and a Tesla Plaid their same cost, which one do you choose? What features should be inside of a retirement plan to be considered a good retirement plan? Let's compare some features in the Roth and the MPI Secure Compound Interest Account. Let's start with life insurance. Roth, no. MPI, yes. Tax-free growth, yes and yes.
Okay, so just so we can break this down, that's one thing that you'll notice too. A lot of times when they're trying to hit you with a bunch of sales things, they will compare a ton of things and throw them at you in a 1-minute video. Okay, it's hard to break these things down very quickly, again, in 1 minute, because you don't have a whole bunch of time to compare, right? So first, one, an MPI is like a very specialized insurance policy. We can break that down in a separate video. So one, in a good retirement plan, like life insurance is important, okay? Now, should you get a term policy versus a permanent long-term policy, there are pros and cons to each one. I think, most cases, a term policy makes sense for more people, but there are cases where permanent insurance makes sense, a whole life policy. So it does depend, what is your situation? What is your health like? Do you own a business? So there are cases where one does fit for more than another, okay? I'm not someone who says everybody needs term, nobody needs whole life insurance, so it does depend. But here's the thing, for a retirement plan, I don't know if that is like I don't know if it has to be a part of the retirement plan, like by itself. I think that's separate. Like if I'm looking at somebody's 401k, I don't think the 401k falls into the retirement plan category, right? I don't think life insurance falls into the retirement plan category just for that. I usually have them in separate buckets. If I'm reviewing somebody's financial plan, I'm looking at what's your investments, and then I'm looking at a completely life insurance bucket, your whole insurance bucket here. They're two separate things. That's just me, but whatever. Tax-free growth, in this case, he says that they both check out here. Okay, next. He says he says market security. His thing has market security, and the Roth IRA does not. Let's continue here.
Market security, no, yes. 10% growth potential, yes, yes. Match program, no, yes. Tax-free retirement income, yes, yes. But what's actually the most important thing? Spendable income, secure retirement income potential. The Roth IRA projected at 4%, MPI projected at 10%. That means if...
All right, here is where he got me messed up, okay? Here's where he got me messed up. I'm trying to keep my YouTube license. I'm trying to set an example for my kids. I'm trying to keep my language, all right? Now he has this thing down here. I guess it's supposed to be a disclaimer, but here's the problem. His growth rate is assumed 6.8% and growth rate 4% participating loan rate. So he's got like some projections or whatever for his MPI plan. The issue here is that he's saying that the income potential, what you are going to make from the Roth IRA, is 4%. Where do you get that 4% from off of a Roth IRA? He is basing this off of what we call the 4% rule in retirement. Y'all, the 4% rule is a rule of thumb. That is not a requirement. You can choose how much you want to pull out of your retirement plan. Out of your Roth IRA, right? Out of your 401k. We just talked about earlier, when you withdraw, whether it's tax-free or tax-deferred or whatever, it's recommended that you pull out 4%, but that is a rule of thumb. Some years you can pull out 3, other years you can pull out 4. We talked about that Dave Ramsey video where I think he recommended you pull out 8 or whatever. You get to choose that. So in this instance, he is purposely or misunderstanding this entire concept and choosing, you have to pull out 4 and that's just what it is, and saying you're capped at 4 and my plan gives you 10. That is a misunderstanding of finance. That's a complete misunderstanding of finance and misleading all of these people to sell whatever it is this product is. So let's continue.
You had $1 million inside your Roth IRA, it's only projected to produce $40,000 of income. Inside the MPI,
it's not projected to produce anything. It's a Roth IRA. It produces whatever it is you pull out of it. It's projected to produce whatever it is that you're investing in. It's a Roth. When you are investing in any portfolio, it doesn't project to produce anything. If you're investing in an index fund, you are expected to make anywhere between 7 to 10%, right? It's not, no one sits here and is like, yeah, I'm gonna make exactly $70,000 or whatever it's gonna be per year. That ain't how it works. It's a Roth.
Secure compound interest account, $100,000 per year. You deserve something much better than a Roth IRA. If you want a good retirement plan, text me the word RETIRE to the number 30500. I'm Curtis Ray. Always be compounding.
Don't text this man. Don't text this man. That is a... Let's go to the next video. So it's stuff like this. Again, real quick, real sales. Let me just throw a bunch of stuff at you and then show you something that is incongruent, right? Something that does not match and a misunderstanding of the numbers. If you weren't in front of somebody who understands how this stuff works, then you would know, right? And he counts on people who don't know that type of stuff and doesn't understand how that type of stuff works, because that ain't right, okay? So you can't sit there and just like misunderstand what the 4% rule is, and maybe we need to rename it. Okay, but it is a rule of thumb. That is just a suggestion that you might want to do so that you don't run out of money in retirement. But also, it depends on how much money is in the retirement account to begin with too, right? So if you have, I don't know, $40 million in there, or you have, it all depends on how much is in there and what 4% is going to be. But also, because it's a rule of thumb, it's gonna vary. Some years you might need to pull out 6. Some years you might need to pull out less. Some years, depending on what your situation is, you might not need to pull out any. Who knows, right? It is a rule of thumb. That projection, whatever else that mess was, again, doesn't make sense. But also, again, notice, where did he mention fees? Fees were not a comparison in this case, was it? It was not. Nobody in this video or the last one sat down and said, here's how much a 401k costs per year. Here's how much it costs to open a Roth IRA. Here's how much it costs to open this MPI plan. Nowhere was it broken down. Interesting. You can text him this, though. You can text him. Maybe he'll tell you if he in his one-on-one meeting as he has your contact information. Just throwing it out there, okay? All right, so let's look at our last one here, and then I'll give you my parting thoughts, perhaps. All right, so now this one is funny. Let me pause it because it's already started, and let's pull this back. All right.
Financial advisor won't show you this.
Probably because your financial advisor is going to go to jail before showing you something like this. All right.
Let's say you're 30 years old and you save $500 per month into a 401k, a Roth IRA, or an IUL. What would your income look like at 65?
Okay, so first, an IUL is an Index Universal Life Insurance Policy. For those that don't know, they can get real complex. So I'm not going to do an entire breakdown of an IUL. Basically, it is a life insurance policy that is linked to an index. So it's like an index fund and a life insurance policy hooked all up together. I'm not the biggest fan, but there can be some advantages to it because if the market does fall, they can have some protections to it. But again, they cost money. They're not free. Okay, so again, I'm not the biggest fan. They can be expensive, but let's continue with the video and see where the errors are here.
After taxes. In a 401k, at 65, you'd have $33,000 each and every single year in income. With a Roth IRA, you would have approximately $35,000 a year in after-tax income. And then in an IUL, you would have nearly $60,000. If you want to learn more about the IUL and see if you can qualify, send me a message. Financial advisor won't show you this.
Okay, so problems here. Now I'm gonna rewind on my screen so I can get these numbers. What did you spot as the errors here? So again, you know, you have, as somebody who does social media and stuff, you have more than 30 seconds. Now, obviously, there can be an advantage of having things that are less than 30 seconds behind the camera. Reason is, the shorter it is and the more that you can get information out in a shorter span, you get more plays, algorithm likes you, more people subscribe, follow, all that kind of stuff, okay? Now, in a breakdown video like this, perhaps I don't get that advantage, whatever. But the first problem I thought was, well, what are the rates? Like, okay, 30 years old, you know, I'm investing for 35 years from 30 to 65, but are we at 10%? Are we at 7%? I mean, I can do the math backwards and do the algebra if I wanted to figure out that number. And are these the same? I don't know. I don't, like, immediately looking at this board, I do not know. And I don't feel like doing the math to figure out, are you cheating me to give me what percent I'm supposed to get per year here? Like, that's just immediately off. And you should be telling me what percent it is. That's just be transparent here. What's the gain here in each of these scenarios? Like, why wouldn't you show me that? That's number one. Number two, with the 401k, well, what is the potential for, again, a match in this particular scenario? I don't know. You didn't present that. What are these things invested in? Because I bring that up because in some cases, right, we can say 100% stocks is going to get you a certain percent return. In a certain portfolio, a 50-50, 50% stocks, 50% bonds, is going to give you a different return. In many cases, and we've done videos like this years and years ago, where I would show you guys a 60-40 portfolio and what that would have given you over 30 years. That's going to be a certain return. Is that what these different returns are? How do I know that he didn't cheat here and say, I'm going to give the 401k and the Roth IRA a mostly bond portfolio, and I'm going to put 90% stocks in the IUL, but give them the same time frame? I don't know that because you aren't transparent here. I have no idea. You didn't put those numbers out here. So that's number one. Also, what were the fees? I don't know what the fees were in this particular case, but most importantly, what tends to happen in the insurance industry is they will mislead you on how these particular fees work. So for example, and I know this because I've had my insurance license, okay, in the state of New York. What will happen is they will show you where it says, hey, this is $500 going into the policy, okay, keyword, $500 going into the policy, but your premium, your bill may be $800. Why is that? So you are paying $800 per month because $300 is that fee. Then the $500 that's left over goes into the policy, and then you're going to get whatever return you get. So in reality, you are paying $800 to the insurance policy. So you're paying $800 and you're only paying $500 to those other two policies. And then it's $500 across the board to be invested in those three options. That's a different story. that's a different story, because to you, what's coming out of your budget isn't 500, 500, 500. No. One of those is $800 coming out of your budget, and that's a different story, especially in an environment where things are a lot more expensive. So again, what were the fees and how does this change this entire equation? But because you didn't show us that, I can't trust you. I don't know, right? I need to see way more information, not just, here are some numbers on the board. Your financial advisor is not going to tell you this, and then just cut straight to, hey, call me and book a meeting. Like, I don't know. Should I? Like, maybe I should ask you more information, but again, that's probably exactly what you want people to do. So again, you got to be real careful about that type of stuff, because that's exactly how you get looped in, and that's exactly how they kind of mislead you into a lot of these shady financial products without giving you the straight details as soon as they can and be a lot more straightforward. So how do you avoid a lot of this stuff? There are a few things that you can do. So number one, this is one reason why you want to trust people who either have certain licenses and degrees. So like if someone has a CFP or has a CPA, that's certified financial planner, that is a certified public accountant, if I said that correctly. So people who do taxes, people who do financial planning, people who have actual experience, right? I've been a financial advisor. I have done the job, right? I've had the licenses. Or people who have degrees in finance. In most cases, not all, okay? Not all. But in most cases, a lot of these people who do stuff, like, ain't no way you're gonna make that mistake on a 4% rule. But in most cases, you're not gonna find somebody who has a real finance degree make that type of mistake. Okay, I done got my y'all know, right? I done got my degrees, plural, in economics. Went to grad school. Like I've done all that stuff, right? That ain't it, right? You do not make those types of mistakes in finance, because you know how serious they can be, and it's just that's shady, right? That's somebody who, might not have made it, right? And they took the easy insurance exam. No shade on insurance. No shade on insurance, okay? I know some upstanding insurance people, but that exam was the easiest one I took out of all the exams I took, GMAT included, okay? That was the easiest exam. I could take that exam today and still pass on the first try. Them other ones was hard, okay? I'm just telling it like it is. But that's the lowest bar, and it's also why you see so many people make this content, and it is also the easiest, it's the lowest requirement in terms of standards. So if you pay attention, you'll notice why people who have the higher licenses and stuff, I know I'm ranting, so I'm gonna wrap this up in here in a sec, but why you start to see a lot of the CFPs and all these other people, they can't make content to really combat it in the same way, because they have state bars and all of these licensing bodies that prevent them from doing so. That is why I left mine to do things like this, because if I worked for Citibank or Edward Jones or whatever, they wouldn't allow me to do videos like this. So I was like, hey, I'm gonna leave y'all alone because somebody needs to talk about this type of stuff. So you kind of hamstrung because of compliance that you couldn't do that type of content. So that is why insurance people can do all that stuff, whereas the more legitimate experts who are active in that field could not. So that's a little behind the scenes. Now, with all of that stuff out there, what are some of the absolute best pieces of advice you can and should take, and perhaps should be implementing to your portfolio right now? So what I did was give you 2 of the absolute best habits that you should include to become a better investor. We just dropped that video. If you want to know what those 2 habits are, you should click this video right here.